Gonna be working on this Lexus IS200, doing a transmission replacement, and the vehicle is about 30 feet from, well actually, I don't know, maybe like 50, 60 feet from the shop, and the transmission does not go in drive. So I have a good friend of mine, Mario, on the way. I'm gonna put the vehicle in neutral and push the vehicle into the shop. That way I can start the transmission replacement. I have the new used transmission on hand. This one is from a local junkyard in Houston with only 33,000 miles. No need to replace the filter. Just add and perform procedure for transmission fill with new Lexus OEM fluid. But I just wanted to document and film the transmission replacement on the Lexus. Customer concern was drove through high water, and ever since then the transmission's having problems. Diagnosed transmission faulty. What we're thinking, multiple solenoid failure. Only about a half a quart came out when I drained transmission on the Lexus, so ruled to be a transmission replacement. The transmission for these cars is actually really inexpensive. I paid $560 for delivery, transmission and delivery. I mean, like I said, I wanted to film this for YouTube because I could not find any other videos on these newer Lexus transmission replacements. As I mean, they are newer cars. I don't think too many people are doing transmission replacements, but this customer does drive the vehicle a lot of miles and is pretty hard on the drivetrain. Kevin, if you're watching this, no hard feelings. I know how you drive, so just being honest here. So I want to go ahead and take care of him, get this transmission replaced. So a couple problems I'm already looking at are these jack stands are gonna be too small. So I think I need to go get, what are they, 6-ton like truck jack stands. But before I do that, I'm gonna get the vehicle lifted and level, and yes, I'm doing this on jack stands. Everybody calls me crazy. I don't care. I would do it in the rain. I don't give a fuck. They tell me I work like a Mexican. I take that as a compliment. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this edge out and organize the shop a little bit. Shout out to Sylvia, it's my baby. It's been on the back burner. I'm sorry, Sylvia, I'm sorry. Clean up the shop, get it ready, because I'm gonna be using like this space to jack up the car, and I have my toolbox. Kind of makes it difficult to fit a jack, but if it's possible, I'm going after it. My rent is not gonna pay itself, so we gotta get to work. Let's get to it. So, more?
Yo, bro.
Good, bro. I appreciate you pulling up, bro.
Yeah, man.
Trying to move this Lexus, bro.
Like, shit.
2017, yeah.
This ain't
Kevin.
Yeah, this is Kevin.
So it might be able to drive. Let's try driving it first.
Screen looks nice.
That didn't drive.
So,
Oh, we're moving. Maybe push it as well.
Alright.
Yeah. That's good. She drove. Took a second, but starting with the transmission replacement on the IS, we'll start by removing the, what is that, the charge pipe. This pipe has to come off because in front of the bell housing, I'm not able to access those bolts. I have some diagrams. Looks like loose leak right here. So I went ahead and took some pictures. It goes from there. What is that? The intercooler. It's got an integrated water to air. So I believe that is the throttle body. These new cars have a lot going on. I'm gonna work on getting that charge pipe out. Got the vehicle on 4 jack stands, even height. Just counted the levels. I think I have to pick up the truck stands, like I said previously, to get the vehicle even higher to remove the transmission, although I can start unbolting the drive shaft and bell housing bolts. There was a bolt here, 13 and a 10, 10 here. This customer has some aftermarket modifications, and then this 12 was on a bracket down there on the back side of the engine, as well as a hose clamp holding on the boot. So 10, 12, O2 sensor bracket, 13, 10. Just making sure to get this out of the way for the top bell housing bolts. And now I can climb underneath and start on the underside. I believe there's still like wiring harness on the transmission vent tube here. Yeah, wiring harness there, connector, there's a fill plug. But rear wheel drive, not too much going on. There's another electrical connector here. I believe these are coolant hoses, and then 3 bolts for the drive shaft, which can probably just be moved out of the way. Oh shit, is that cracked? I just found the torque converter included with the trans has a crack rate on the input TC, so I'm gonna have to call the junkyard, and because I want to replace the TC as well. It's a little unfortunate, but alright, YouTube, back with the Lexus. I did skip a bunch of steps, I apologize, but there's really not much to it. So repair instructions on all data, and all data states you need to remove the engine, to remove the trans, and I assume it's because of the subframe is in the way. The transmission, you're not able to separate it from the engine. Although what I did is I installed a transverse bar to the engine at these 2 points. A threaded point here, a threaded point here. I installed 2 bolts. Transverse bar, got the charge pipe removed. I believe it's a charge pipe, I don't fucking know, Lexus, whatever. I was able to remove the top 4 bell housing bolts. I have a little diagram here, I know it's tiny. Bottom 5 still installed. There's 2 more, the starter here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, including the starter. 9, not including the starter. So I'll show you what I did underneath to pull the trans without removing the engine. And that is first, removing the engine mount nuts, removing the rear bracket bolt for the subframe. And basically what I'm doing is lowering the subframe enough to clear the subframe here, clear the transmission. Before I did any of that, I removed the exhaust, unbolted the drive shaft, removed the exhaust from there back. Customer has a catless downpipe on this one. It's pretty basic if you've ever done a transmission replacement on a rear-wheel drive vehicle. This one's just a lot more entailed with tight spaces. Feel free to comment below too if you need any tip. I'm pretty active on it, YouTube and Instagram, so feel free to reach out. Exhaust, drive shaft, heat shield. There were multiple braces with plastic covering them. I just kind of peeled the plastic back, took the braces out. Once you get all out the way, it's more or less engine work and subframe work. As you can see, I have these subframe bolts loose as well, and there's a gap. That way the subframe drops a little bit. I have a pry bar here. I was testing how much room I can clear from the fucking trans, because this is kind of ridiculous. Either way, I'm getting it out. I don't give a fuck. I'm not pulling the engine. So all that's left now is I'll put my transmission jack, remove the brace right here. It looks like 4 14s or 15s, 4 or 5 bell housing bolts. Did forget to mention, to remove the torque converter bolt, there is where the starter goes, right? And the starter has a 13 mil and a wire connection. I ran an extension through that engine mount, that hole right there. That was the only way I can get leverage on the torque converter bolts that were torqued to like 3,000 foot-pounds. I'm joking, but they were very tight. While counter holding the crank, which is a 22 mil. Torque converter bolts are 14 mil. So I had a ratchet here, and I had my breaker over here, 2 hands, and it was difficult to say the least. But oh, and I forgot to mention, I removed this ground to make room for my ratchet to slide through the engine mount to get the torque converter bolts through the starter hole, because usually transmissions have an access point on the bottom. This vehicle being newer, and I guess they redesigned everything. So cooler right here, it's 3 bolts, 2 or 3 bolts, wire connections, 1 on each side, 10 mils on the top of the trans. I removed a couple, but I'm gonna get the trans removed and then unscrew the 10 mils as I pull the trans. I don't think I have enough space. Drop it out with my transmission jack right there. But that's why they want you to remove the engine, is because of the subframe here not clearing. But I literally stuck a pry bar in between here and the subframe clears, so I assume they want you to remove the engine, transmission, engine, cradle down, which is a lot of work. All data states 19 hours. Lexus states 26, if I'm not mistaken. I will update you guys when I have that one out. And once you remove that charge pipe, you can easily access, well not easily, because they're tight as fuck, you can get to the bell housing bolts. The battery end just took off the negative terminal. And a combination of short 17/3/8, extended 17/3/8, ratchet, breaker bar, and just been making a little diagram there. So it's only a little chilly outside today. I did get the transmission removed, transfer over the bracket to the new transmission as well as ground cable. I did not need to remove the engine since it's an automatic. It doesn't even need to come out like half an inch from the engine. It was actually pretty easy to remove. What gave me the most trouble was actually these two 10 mil bolts. You cannot access them from underneath the vehicle or above. So I actually took a pry bar at the wiring harness, because there's a harness that runs here to here to here, down to that connector and down to this connector. I took a pry bar, as you can see all the scratches, and just broke it off of the clips, because I think it's just held on by a grommet here. But overall, I did this on jack stands, and all I had to do was raise the engine and unbolt the subframe. And I did have to go and buy 6-ton stands just for the front. I have regular jack stands on the rear. I have the drive shaft unbolted at the, what is that called, U-joint, sitting on a jack stand. I assume the junkyard did the same thing. I mean, looking forward to throwing this one on. Okay, this one has the cooler already. I need to put the bracket from mine to this one, and then obviously the transmission mount. This one is clean. It only has 33,000 miles. So yeah, F Sport and everything. So I will update you guys once I start to put that one in. What is up, YouTube? Back at the shop working on this Lexus. I have the old transmission out. I did want to show you guys some more stuff I took off. Took off the turbo downpipe, made it a lot easier. Pull the trans and remove some bolts on the wiring harness. So I would recommend removing the catless downpipe. It's catless downpipe, but kind of the converter would go there. Today I'm going to transfer all the needed components to the new used trans. Ground strap, transmission mount, you know, little breathers, whatever it needs to maybe crack this loose on the new used trans. That way it's easy to fill. When I'm ready to fill it, I have new fluid on the way, so we'll get this customer all new transmission fluid. This was interesting to remove. I haven't done a transmission like this. I've done similar rear-wheel drive, 4-cylinder turbo, V6 rear-wheel drive transmissions, and torque converter bolts were always on a cutout, like on the bottom. I guess this newer design, 2017 Lexus, you get them through the starter hole, so you actually have to go through the front, up through the engine mount, which was crazy. But overall, not terrible on jack stands. So that's where we're at right here. I believe I'm the first to do it on YouTube on jack stands, so not to mention 36 degrees, but all you have to do is ignore temperature. If you just ignore the temperature, you can work anything. But how long can you ignore the temperature for? 3 hours? Because it's cold as fuck. Yesterday I had the door shut, but then I lose reception to my music. Possible emergency if I need, you know, to make a call if I'm underneath the vehicle. Stuff like this, you want to keep your phone on you in case of emergency. So closing the door is pretty dangerous actually, but I was cold as fuck. So are you cold and safe, or are you comfortable and not safe? You know, there's risks in this profession. But anyway, we're gonna get back to work. Like I said, I'm probably gonna crack open this fill plug and change out all these components. So I have the torque converter sitting somewhere over here. It looks like I'm pretty unorganized, but I know where everything's at, I promise. Anyway, let's get to it. 13. All right. Were you wondering how I move this around? Yes, I do have a hoist, although I don't feel like moving it. It looks pretty comfortable where it's at with the Sylvia. So I just grab this motherfucker and just drag it. But that's the old one. Can't do that with the new one. So this is where I'm at. Currently, when I took on delivery for the trans, we set it on a tire. It's only myself here. I think I can lift it on here. Do like one side at a time, right off the tire. Without this, it's really slippery. It can fall off. So I think that'll limit the amount of slippage. I'm gonna go ahead and skip. Mac Miller, keep that one. I like to put the torque converter inside of it. Something like this. I only bought two 6-ton stands. I moved that one from that side, put it over here. Went up, what, 7 clicks? The only way to get the trans in and out is actually through the side of the car. As you can see, I have the jack. This being so tall, I think I can slip it right through this wheel well. No need to take the wheel off. Might need to raise it a little higher, but kind of looking everything over before attempting something, but just like that. Just like that. Come on. Okay. Now with the trans on the car, just want to see where we're at back here. Looks good. You know, a little pump, because never be too safe. So just like that. Now the trans would not go from under the front of the vehicle. Now I'm going to work on getting it mated to the engine and then slipping through a couple bell housing bolts. In between here and here is 2 starter bolts, which are right here, both the same size. And this is your torque converter cover. You have to remove this to remove the torque converter bolts. These guys were crazy tight. Those seem more tight than the fucking bell housing. Well, no, bell housing is gonna be more tight. But anyway, got your drive shaft bolts, fluid everywhere. Don't give a fuck. It's got to get done one way or another. Next, I'll probably make room with that wire harness, because there's a wire harness that sits on top of the transmission. Basically, I don't want to pinch anything. See how it's just kind of hanging there? Yeah, probably just drape it over, honestly. Turn on my heaters that I like to think do something. 33. Little update. I was here earlier. I got the transmission in. I was having some problems mating it to the engine fully. It looks like it's mated all the way. I think I just have to put in all the bolts and tighten them crisscross slowly. Yeah, let's see what kind of work I can get done tonight. First start tonight? Nah, that'd be crazy though.
What was I thinking?
Man.
Thinking it's fucking hot out here?
Technical information for bell housing bolts, starter, torque specs per all data. The most important stuff really, this has torque specs for the fucking drain bolt and flange yoke assembly. The important stuff, so I have, it doesn't show the starter bolts, but there's 2 additional bolts here that are 27 foot-pounds. and all of the bell housing bolts, the long ones and the shorter ones, are 52 foot-pounds. But as I do each one, I'll cross it out. And then the torque converter bolts to the engine flex plate are 30 foot-pounds, and that requires a counter hold on the crankshaft. Those are the torque specs for the engine to transmission. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, I do have access to all data. Just comment below. I'm pretty active on YouTube and Instagram, so I'm just using a cheap gear wrench, electric 3/8 torque wrench. Got the new trans in. I still have quite a bit of components to remove from the vehicle, so even the drive shaft isn't connected. But I did bolt back in the subframe. What is up, YouTube? Back with the Lexus transmission repair. I know I mentioned installing the torque converter bolts and the extensions and the quite ridiculous design. The starter being the only hole to take out the torque converter bolts right there. I just wanted to show you guys how I am able to tighten the TC bolts. See the extension going through the engine mount. I'll show you exactly what socket and extensions I'm using. So right now I have a breaker bar with a 22 on the crank. Being careful to watch this coolant connector here. And then I have a 3/8 ratchet with two 3/8 1 foot extensions with a 14mm socket running through the engine mount. The engine mount bracket, sorry. And there's a ground cable, I think that goes to, I don't know, above the alternator. Ground cable that attaches to the block here, I just undid and is kind of hanging. So let me take out this ratchet real quick. I want to show you guys the extensions and extended 3/8 ratchet for more leverage. I believe these are 1 foot extensions, and then a 14 3/8. And now you have to build this setup in the car, if that makes sense. You have to build even attaching this. So this gets sent through the engine mount first. Once that's in there, engine mount bracket, you install the socket and you can put it on the TC bolt, and then you send this one through the engine mount bracket, and then you can take your ratchet and put it on like so. What is up, YouTube? Back working on the Lexus. Been out of town and haven't been back here at the shop. The only thing I have left to do, under tray or under paneling, exhaust, another under panel. Not that much is left. I want to show you guys what kind of transmission fluid I am putting in this, as well as the tool to put the transmission fluid in. I've got 6 quarts of genuine Toyota ATF World Standard, and I'll be using just a regular, I think this is a Harbor Freight fluid transfer pump. I took off one of the cap, poked a hole. This makes it so much easier, and you can measure the depth. That way it goes to the bottom. I put new crush washers on both drain plugs. There's a drain plug like at the back and a drain plug in the middle. Your first drain plug is gonna be right there. Second is right there. And then your fill is right here. It looks like I have a lot of room because I have the exhaust removed. So typically there would be an exhaust pipe going there, and the only way to remove that nut is 24 wrench. Put it in here, hit it with a hammer, and then this one I did not replace the gasket because it's a rubber gasket. These two I replaced the crush ring with the copper crush ring. This is a 5mm Allen and a 14mm. I did drain out the old fluid, just let it drip. Trying to get this car wrapped up. The customer is waiting, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start pumping new trans fluid. We'll go from there. And then will be the exhaust, and then I did put the heat shield in the other day, last week. Threw the heat shield in, as well as the shift linkage. It's just a pin and I think like a 12mm nut in the back, a couple sensors for shift position, and then you have your transmission cooler, 2 coolant hose lines. These dump when you take them off. Dumps coolant everywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start pumping new fluid in this thing. After filling the transmission, the next step is to connect the scan tool and monitor automatic transmission oil temperature. My scan tool is in Celsius. Spec is 45 degrees Celsius to 60, 113 Fahrenheit to 135 Fahrenheit. So mine is almost at temperature. I'm gonna go ahead and go underneath with a drain pan and show you guys how to set the level. I actually believe I overfilled it. There is 2 drain plugs, 1 oil drain, 1 is check. So this one I will crack loose and wait for the fluid to come to a dribble, put it back in, and we're good to go.
Go ahead and put the crush drain plug back.
That is it, guys. It concludes the transmission replacement. About 60 Celsius now. Go ahead and hop in and see if we can put it in drive. Anytime you put a vehicle in drive on jack stand, it's always a good idea to turn the traction control off. And go to reverse here. Before the wheels wouldn't even spin. Before the wheels wouldn't even spin. With the right amount of fluid off the stands. About 70 miles an hour right there. What gear are we in? Hold on. Also, anytime you have a vehicle on jack stands with no load on the wheels, press the brake very slowly. Don't just hit the brake like you would driving on the road. Let's see, first gear. Wonderful. Wonderful. 7th gear, 8th gear. Try some downshifts. Awesome. She's running great, guys. Well, that will conclude the transmission replacement on this 2017 Lexus IS200t F Sport. For those of you wondering, I know they made the This model in 2016 as well. I actually did put a 2016 transmission in this car, so it is not from a 2017, but the 2016 transmission was from a F Sport. So I think this is more or less like trim and maybe bigger brakes. I'm not exactly sure what F Sport includes, but I did make sure it was F Sport. Maybe it had different coolers, something like that. So also bled the coolant system, topped off with fluids. I did have to drain some coolant, transmission cooler somewhere on there. All right guys, back at the shop. Got the vehicle on the ground. Performed a coolant flush for the customer as repair instructions said, because the transmission cooler, oil cooler, had to be removed. So just finished performing the coolant flush. I aired the tires to 35 psi. He's got custom rims. One of these rims is cracked, so I put that one to 37, but we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for its first drive cycle. I had the hot air on to bleed the coolant. There we go. I gotta fold out the passenger mirror. I brought the scanner with me just in case. See how she drives. New transmission. These cars are beautiful. Lexus, Toyota makes some great cars. Really nice interior, nice suspension, brakes. Oh yeah, these headlights are bad. About highway speed, shifting smooth. I may take this vehicle home tonight and put a second drive cycle on it before giving it back to the customer. Whenever a major repair like this is performed, it's always a good idea to put 2 to 3 drive cycles on the vehicle. 1, driving it lightly. 2, driving it a little harder. You'd rather the vehicle break at the shop with the mechanic than the vehicle break with the customer. So with that being said, we're gonna go a few miles down the road. I left my shop open, so I don't want to go too far, but seems like she's driving pretty good. Customer's actually showing up tonight. He said he wants to hang out and he's gonna drop off his Lexus IS200 with 2JZ. It's got some issues. Hey, I might record some content on that one, but I just thought I'd record transmission replacement on this 2017 Lexus IS200t F Sport. When I looked at YouTube videos for transmission service or replacement, I could not find much info on the 8-speed. I followed all data procedures and used OEM fluid. Bought a used transmission from a 2016 IS200t F Sport and swapped it out. So I did not have to program anything. What's this guy doing? He slowed down at the green light. Did not have to program anything. So far so good. But again, I thank you guys for watching, and more videos to come. Leave a like, subscribe. God bless.